Hi guys, what's up? My name is David and welcome back to my channel. So I don't normally talk about recent events and things like this, but I do feel that this particular event is very relevant to my channel, so let's talk about it anyway. If this is your first time on this channel, hi, my name is David. I talk about all kinds of stuff, mostly related to paganism and pre-Christian religion, but also history in general, and that includes pagan history and queer history, and also just my experience as a trans person in life. So if this is something that's relevant to you or something that you would like to know more about, then make sure to like, subscribe, and keep watching. So the thing I want to talk about today, as you all might suspect, is the Olympics opening ceremony. The Christians went wild on this one. Now, before I say anything, I just want to say that as someone who considers themselves a pagan, I have nothing against Christians and practicing the Christian faith. There is nothing wrong with that. The problem is when you use your Christian faith in order to hate on others, specifically very misplaced hate, as we will see. So what happened at the Paris 2024 Olympics opening ceremony last Friday was something that Christians didn't like, and it was a drag performance. Now, obviously, a lot of these white American Christians don't like drag performances in general, but this one was even worse than anything they had ever seen before, because they thought it was a reference to the Last Supper. Now, what is the Last Supper? So the Last Supper that these people were referring to is a painting by Leonardo da Vinci, who was a Renaissance painter who, shockingly, was a homosexual. He was gay. So if you have a problem with the Last Supper being combined with something gay, then, you know, the original painting is already made by a queer person, I'm sorry. But the Last Supper is not just this particular painting, although this is the most known depiction of the Last Supper. The Last Supper originally is a story from the Bible that is referring to Jesus coming together with his 12 apostles, where he tells them that the wine they drink is his blood and the bread they eat is his body, which is where the Eucharist comes from. So this is an important thing for religious Christians, and we should respect that, obviously. But before we get into the fact that what happened at the Olympics opening ceremony had nothing to do with the Last Supper, I just want to say this. The Last Supper has been interpreted and parodied by a lot of people, including Christians. So to draw the line at something where queer people are involved doesn't say anything about your religious beliefs. It just tells on yourself that you are a homophobe. But you know, as I've said, this did not happen. The Last Supper was not the thing that happened at the Olympic ceremony. So while it might look like it, because shockingly a lot of religions have things in common with each other, it is not the Last Supper. The person that was depicted in this piece of media was Dionysus, a Greek god, because the Olympics famously are from Greece. So this was a performance to honor the pagan past of the Olympic Games. And not only the pagan past of the Olympic Games, but it also had a link with France, where it is happening right now, because Dionysus, according to mythology, is the father of Sequana, which is the river goddess of the Seine River, which flows through Paris. So this was a link between the old Olympics and the new Olympics. And by the way, the modern Olympics started with a French guy. So it all comes together, and shockingly, Christianity is not involved. But I have the feeling that many Christians would like to be involved in situations where they see something that they don't agree with and think it's about them. With a scientific term, we would call that main character syndrome. And like, it's just funny to see, because even the organizers, the person behind this event, has said that this small part of the Olympics opening ceremony had nothing to do with the Last Supper, and yet there's people tweeting, or should I say Xing, that they don't buy it and it's still a mockery of Christianity. Which, even if it was, you know, France is not a theocracy. Christianity is not some kind of holy thing that should be respected at all costs. If anything, French people are very great at not caring about other people's religions. You can see that by the high rates of Islamophobia in France. Like, they don't care. And even if this was a mockery of religion, then this would not be the first time where France was attacked for mocking a religion. Do you know why Charlie Hebdo happened? Because some cartoonist decided to draw a picture of someone that was Muhammad from Islam, and that resulted in terrorist attacks. So this is not the first time that France is being attacked for attacking a big religion. But this time the religion is not even involved. They just want to get involved and want to be right about this issue. So as someone whose channel is called Queer Pagan, obviously I have some thoughts about this whole Olympic ceremony and the reaction to it. First of all, there was a lot not to like about this opening ceremony. I didn't like the fact that they started off showing the athletes on boats. I like the normal walk through with all the flags and stuff. But that doesn't mean that I want to cancel the Olympics. Then there's the issue of both Israel and Palestine competing while Russia is still excluded. So there's a whole political aspect of what should happen there, which is less talked about because everyone is focusing on this small part of the opening ceremony. And there is another part of the opening ceremony that was queer and people didn't like it, which was this threesome happening in the Paris library. 3 people sending each other love books and ending up in one room together, which was obviously also shocking because no one has ever known that Paris is called the city of love, right? That is not common knowledge apparently. As a European, I do not want to push myself into conservative white American discourse, but I also don't want the cultures of the countries around me to be attacked by white American Christians. Yeah, sure, the Olympics are for everyone and USA can compete, but that doesn't mean you get to police what does or doesn't happen at the opening ceremony in a country that is not yours. You know, France is not great. It's not an amazing country. Every country has its flaws. But if the people organizing this event decided that this is how they are going to present their culture, then that is their right. At the end of the day, France is the origin of the modern Olympic Games, and they can honor that in whatever way they want. And honestly, when I first saw the whole scene that people were angry about, my first thought was not, oh, this is some kind of religious conspiracy to mock Christians. No, that's just what Christians see, what they want to see. Again, when I say Christians, I mean these specific Christians that have something against it. I am not implying that every Christian is like this, and I'm not implying that people who aren't Christians are not like this. So don't come for me, okay? But I keep seeing comments on social media from people saying that, oh, you should boycott the Olympics or cancel the Olympics. This competition has been going on for hundreds of years, and before that, even in, pre-Christian times. The Olympics are inherently pagan and come from a culture where homosexuality was widely accepted. So to not include queer people in this opening ceremony would be weird because they have always been a part of this. And there are tons of queer athletes. More and more are open about their queerness. And there was this whole grinder ban at the Olympic Village. Blah blah blah. There's a lot going on when it comes to that. But Paris has always been a city of gay people. You know how many artists traveled to Paris to, meet people that happened to have the same sex as them? Not everyone, obviously not everyone, but a lot of them. And if you are aware of European art and culture, you would know this. But obviously, as a white Christian American, you wouldn't know this. And if you did, you would probably get a heart attack. So yeah, there is definitely a lot of things that can be improved when it comes to the Olympic Games and the Olympics opening ceremony in general. There have been controversies since forever, For example, the Winter Games in, was it 2014, taking place in Russia. If everyone wants to be included, then even the people we might not like should also be included. And there is always going to be people that are against something, and it's coming from all the sides of the political spectrum. So if we can just let it go, because the whole point of the Olympics originally was a break in war. These Olympic Games every 4 years was the period where everyone stopped and instead of actual combat engaged in sport, which is a systematized, institutionalized form of combat. And let's keep it that way, okay? Please let people have these few weeks of sports competitions without invoking the Last Supper, because there was no reference to the Last Supper. And if you find that the Last Supper is suspiciously similar to things like the Feast of Dionysus, maybe think about where Christianity got their inspiration from, because they also stole things from other religions, and that is somehow normalized. But when someone secular takes something from a religion, then suddenly it should be cancelled, you know? As you can see, I am pretty like, well, maybe not emotional, but I'm still very engaged in this because I personally really like watching the Olympics. And the one thing I hate the most in this world is the spreading of misinformation. And the more right-wing people spread this information that this is a mockery of the Last Supper, the more people will think it's a mockery of the Last Supper, and the more people would want to cancel the Olympics. I cannot fix this problem, obviously, and there is a lot of people who have talked about this. There's tons of articles online talking about whether this opening ceremony was like horrible and should be cancelled, or what actually happened. And the organizers officially issued an apology. Even though they literally did not use the Last Supper as their inspiration, they still felt the need to issue an apology because Christian-ish sponsors were pulling their finances out because they thought this was a mockery of their religion. So if we all could just collectively have critical thinking skills and basic knowledge of religions that are not our own. Like, I find it strange that people don't know anything about Greek polytheism. Like, if you are this religious, at least know a bit about other religions too, please. But yeah, those are my thoughts on this subject. I'm sure a lot of people would disagree with me, as always. That's why I'm here as a queer person on the internet, to be disagreed with. But for those of you who don't disagree with me, thank you for listening. I hope you enjoyed this video, and let me know your thoughts. What you thought about this opening ceremony? What were your favorite parts? I might be biased, but I listen to metal and I really liked the metal performance with like Marie Antoinette and like their heads off and everything. It was amazing. And apparently it was the first time that a metal band has performed at the Olympics opening ceremony, so that's great. But yeah, thank you for watching. I hope you have a nice rest of your day, week, month, whatever it is, and I will see you next time. Bye bye.